Hello, Jen here, and welcome. You're at Therapist Sanctuary, and this is the first time I've ever gone live on YouTube, so I have no idea what's happening. I don't know if you see me. I don't know. I don't even know if anybody's there. And that actually is a-okay with me because, it's a little nerve-wracking. So I'm just going to start talking, and I'm excited because today we're going to talk about building a therapy practice using principles of not just IFS, which is internal family systems, but also principles from Michael Gerber's E-Myth, which is all about business. And so you've arrived. We'll just give that a moment to sink in. And I want to just mention that Therapist Sanctuary is a community of therapists who come together um, to support each other, to learn and grow and get supervision. And this channel is a support of that. And I like to think of it as a place where therapists find sanctuary, and sanctuary meaning a safe harbor, a safe place. Because, you give a lot of yourselves being therapists, and I happen to think therapists are some of the coolest people ever. We are. But who is nourishing us? I am right here. And that's what we're going to do today. So, join me. Make sure you have some paper in case you want to, jot anything down or draw a picture, even better. And make sure you're in a quiet place and maybe even grab your headphones. We're going to be doing an exercise in a little bit. And let's get started. So, first of all, I'm going to introduce myself a little more formally. So, my name is Jennifer Westcott, and back in the day when I first started out in my 20s, I started as a recreation therapist. That's what I did a whole degree on. And what that taught me and what I've brought forward since the early 90s from that time is a love affair with the flow state. So I started out in recreation therapy, inviting people to get into a state of flow so that they could heal. And the idea was that if you knew what you loved and if you had access to activities and things that opened you up to forgetting what time it was because you were so immersed, forgetting to go to the bathroom, forgetting to eat, drinking paint water, that if you could get into that place, the receptivity to do some healing, it was like it was on steroids. And I loved that concept. Then I moved into the world of therapy and been a therapist formally since 1999. Done a lot of supervision over that time. And that's how I know how easy it is for me to fall in love with therapists, because it is, it is one of those careers where you really have to open your chest and open your heart, because what you let in from people that you work with is just as important as what you give out. And it actually becomes this kind of like flowy figure eight. My hands are doing it wrong. Movement between you and your clients. So my formal stuff, I am a registered clinical counselor in the province of British Columbia. I'm an accredited clinical supervisor. I'm also an adjunct supervisor with Marriage and Family Therapy Association, the Canadian division, and I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. And, those are just the letters, but really what I'm proud of over the years is that I've stayed on the path of learning not just the trade, but also more recently, how to build a flippin' business. Yeah. So we're going to talk about that today. I've been in private practice since 2009. And I always think, isn't it great that we have a two-tier system where I can be in a setting that gives me a steady paycheck and I can do private work at the same time, that there is a public and a paid version of the work we do here in Canada. And I'm really grateful for that. And I think mostly around the world, it's like that with the world of therapy. So, the plan for the next 45 minutes or so is I want to talk about IFS. Some of you probably are IFS trained, and if you're not, it doesn't matter. I'm barely trained myself. I just I just embarked on the training this year, and I'm a few months in, and it opened up a whole world. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the E-Myth in business, and then I'm going to do a process with you, meditation, to bring it all together and see what it holds for you. My hope is that you find your own path, your own way, your own unique therapeutic thumbprint, not just for the work you do therapeutically and clinically, but for the way that you run your business. That the way that your business is designed feels authentic to you, feels like you have integrity with it, and it feels like it is your insides spilling out into a business. Ugh. Doesn't that sound good? Yes. Um, why am I doing this? That's a good question. Because when I started Therapist Sanctuary, I just wanted it to be clinical. I just wanted it to be about sharing cases and helping ourselves grow, helping me grow in terms of skills as a therapist. But I noticed this. What the therapists that I come into contact with most talk about, especially if they're in their first several years of practice, is how do I do the business end of things? They say things like this, and I said all these things, and I still do. I don't know about business. Oh, that feels dirty and greedy. I don't want to focus on that part. It's not what I'm good at. I'm not technological, so I can't do that. Yes, right? And so we get real good at this one sliver. I got really good at this one sliver of my role and completely ignored all the other stuff. It reminds me of this story. When I was growing up, I had this friend, Dana, and every year she'd have a sleepover for her birthday. And we would go in her basement back in the 80s and we'd have seances and do all the things she did back then and have a sleepover. And we always were allowed to play in her dad's office. He had an office down there. I remember it had one of those calculators where the paper came out and it had a typewriter and it was very tidy and organized and it had all kinds of pens. We would go in there and use all the stuff and it felt like we were playing office. Fast forward 30 years, that feeling of playing office is kind of how I felt building a therapy practice. I felt like a little kid who was just punching numbers into a calculator. I had no idea what the numbers were about. When people said, work on your business, I didn't know what they were talking about. And I felt like I was playing at being a grown up, but I really wasn't a real one. And so I decided, why don't I reflect on what has helped me and what have I miserably failed at over the years? And let's talk about that. So that's what today is. And as luck would have it, I came upon the E-Myth and IFS at the same time this past year. And I just was struck by how well those two concepts fit together. So before we get into it, I want to read you a quote by one of my favorites, Abraham Hicks. I don't know if any of you are familiar, but I just want to ground you in this. So take a breath and listen to this and let it in. Ready? You are in the exact place that you are meant to be, and nothing is off schedule. Nothing is remotely wrong. Everything is on the right track. It's right on track. And from this point forward, your conscious awareness of your emotion is going to be a keener experience that you will each understand because you're on the brink of a rapid unfolding. The practice that you've been wanting, I changed that word. The practice that you've been wanting is ready for you to receive. Don't freak out. Don't panic about it. Don't rush. Don't take score about it. Don't measure yourself. Don't overthink it. Don't overdo it. Just notice it softly. Notice the subtle ways that the universe begins yielding to you. So many of the things that you want are waiting for you, and nothing is off limits. You get to have it all. There is nothing that you cannot have. Your business is ready for you. Your creativity is working for you. Your money is waiting for you. The environment is ready for you. There is nothing that has gone wrong. There is nothing in the world you need to worry about. You're in the exact right place that you're meant to be. I love that. Okay. Let's start by talking about IFS, Internal Family Systems Therapy. IFS, for those of you who might not be familiar, is a type of therapy that was developed in the 80s by Dr. Richard Schwartz, who was a family therapist. And what he believed was there is a system of parts inside of us that work together and that need to come into harmony to help us live whole and fruitful lives. And so Dr. Schwartz has developed many great techniques to help clients get in touch with all the different parts of themselves. Some are managers, some are protectors, some are exiles. There's wounded parts, there's hurt parts. And a typical IFS session, I'm just learning about it, has a lot of having the client go inside and meet some of the parts. Unblend is one of the words used a lot, which means get that part unstuck from all the other parts. So maybe the client might want to do something, but they're afraid. And so we invite them to go inside and meet that afraid part and really talk to it, be with it, understand it, and help it feel less alone for starters. Now, in IFS, there is a concept called self-energy, which is the true self, the self that is watching all the parts. It's the essence of who we are. And the true self is compassionate, is wise, and is the core of our being. I'm laughing because I was watching a show last night. If you've never seen Kunk on Earth or Kunk on Life, give it a watch. She kept talking about, she's quite funny. It's a deadpan comedy skit. You have to watch it. But she kept, instead of saying our souls, she kept saying arseholes. Anyway, so the self-energy is our soul. And that's the part we often want to access and bring all the other parts around and bring into harmony. So I'm learning about IFS. I'm learning about going inward through meditation. And I'm thinking, this could be really useful, right? For me to contemplate my business and my practice and what parts are in the way. It's kind of reminds me of, for those of you back in the day that did satir work, it reminds me of Virginia Satir's Parts Party, combined with family systems interventions, where you're not just looking at the parts, you're looking about how the parts interact with each other part and how they influence and impact each other, how they silence each other, how they maybe even bully each other, how they um, are kind and unkind, useful, not useful. So they're in relationship with each other, not just with the self. Um, so that is what IFS is. At the same time, like I said, that I'm learning about IFS, I'm working with a business coach, and he introduces me to Michael Gerber. And Michael Gerber wrote a book. He wrote more than one book on the subject, and it's called The E Myth. And the E Myth, meaning the entrepreneurial myth, is a book that a concept that describes how to get into good business by looking at 3 specific parts. And I'm starting to see the crossover, which is, interesting to me. These are the 3 parts that I came to learn about studying Michael Gerber's book. The first part is that for any successful business to really take off, be self sustaining, systematically efficient, there needs to be harmony between these 3 parts. Number 1 is the entrepreneur. So, the entrepreneur in you is the creative one, the visionary, the one that has the ideas and the momentum and the excitement, the one that dreams, the one that comes up with things like, I'm going to create an online program that has to do with family therapy. I'm going to create a group practice. I'm going to make this happen. I can dream about what I want my practice to be. And the dream is going to be big and it's going to be exciting. So, the second part is called the manager. And the manager has to put the entrepreneur's dream into action. So the manager cares about things like timelines, processes, goals, um, systems that are efficient and effective, delegating, hiring. In a therapy practice, it might look like the manager gets the contracts, makes sure they're signed, negotiates the terms of the contract and the rate, decides on what your rate's going to be, researches other therapists, makes sure that there's a billing system, gets you on Jane or Owl to automate your note taking. That's the manager. And the last part is called the technician. And the technician is your specific skill of being a therapist. So it's all the studying you've done, it's your master's degree, it's your interest in EMDR or family systems work or IFS, or it's your love affair that you have with what creates safety in the therapeutic realm. What's the art and the science of the work? Do you like doing meditation? Do you like doing art therapy? What are you good at? Those are technical skills. Okay. So here's the thing I want you to contemplate, and I'm going to share. I was really good at one of those 3 parts. Really good. I mean, I focused on only one. Can you guess which one? I put all my energy as a therapist into the technician. Um, I thought to get good at therapy equated with having a good business. And I ended up sitting in my chair with all these skills and all this ready to go ness, just waiting for people to arrive. You can imagine how long it took for the people to find out I was even there. So, what part have you over and under focused on? That's what we're going to do a little exploration of right now. So, let's put this into a bit of a practice to make it real, to make it resonate. And I came up with a new word. In IFS, there's a lot of meditation. And I'm trained as a clinical hypnotherapist, meaning I do hypnosis. And I wanted to create something kind of in the middle. So it's not totally hypnosis, and it's not only meditation, it's hypnotation. I made that word up. And that's what we're going to do now. I'm going to lead you through it, and let's see what you find out about your parts, okay? So just move now inwards into a safe and comfortable space, a more relaxed mode, getting fully comfortable. There's nothing you have to do. There's nowhere you need to be. There's no one who needs you. This is your time. Make any tiny micro movements to feather your nest, so to speak, so that even a 1% movement will bring much, much more physical comfort to you. And close your eyes if you like, so that you can just zero in and listen to the sound of my voice. Because today you can decide to follow these words, to enjoy a deep feeling of calm and peace, ranging anywhere between relaxed to deep, deep inward journeying. And take a nice breath in. Hold it for a moment and release. And again, but this time count mentally to 4 as you inhale and hold and exhale to a count of 4. Slow and deliberate counting, and just try that for a few cycles of breath. Just noticing how the body relaxes and deepens with each exhale, sinking, just softening. It's really just a process of softening the body and letting it do what a body does when it completely lets go. And just let the breath find its natural rhythm now as you notice that all the tiny muscle groups on your eyelids get heavy and release, so that the eyelids feel weighted now. They feel so heavy, in fact, that even if you wanted to, you just couldn't lift them open. It's like there's tiny weights hanging from the eyelashes, pulling them down. And the face lets go, and the jaw muscles relax. The tongue rests in the mouth, and the whole face relaxes. So do the shoulders, sinking heavily down. The chest sinks into relaxing, and you begin to feel ready now to embark on a journey that has already begun. You begin to feel ready for whatever is coming to you now. And you see now in your mind's eye a staircase in front of you, a beautiful staircase made just for you that takes you down into a wonderful, safe, and peaceful place. There are 10 steps going down. And even though you're not going down just yet, you see the stairs. Perhaps it's a spiral staircase or carpeted, or maybe a stone stairway lit by stained glass lamps. This is your stairway, and you carefully design it now in your mind. Feel your head lower a little bit as you look forward towards the steps, looking over them, getting that same looking down feeling as if you're peering over a balcony. And soon, but not yet, you'll step down, and as you do, you'll feel more and more peaceful, excited as you get closer and closer to the sanctuary at the bottom that awaits you. It's waiting for you to discover exactly what you need. And so you move now from 10 to 9. And as you do, because you go down, you feel calmer, allowing every muscle and part to let loose, to turn loose, to go deeper. You step to 8, deeper still, more and more relaxed. To 7, calmer, safer. Down to 6, remembering to forget, forgetting to remember, nothing matters. Just the peace that sweeps through you. At 5 and 4, floating now. And you give yourself full permission. At 3, peacefully, pleasantly drifting down to 2 and all the way down to 1. You find yourself in a beautiful and uniquely you place. It's a room or an office, and you look around and take it all in. The colors of the space decorated exactly the way you love. Objects, fabrics, and furniture, and smells. And you notice the temperature is just right. And you see 2 chairs in the middle of the room, like therapy chairs. One is yours. And you find yourself sitting expectantly in your chair, waiting for the other to join. Then you see that the other is there. This is your entrepreneur, the creative force that is part of you, that always has been part of you. This one dreams for you. Visions. This one is unafraid of change, of creating. This is the one who wants things for you. And you notice what this one is wearing and what their energy feels like. Have you met them before? You greet this part and you ask, "What do you want to tell me?" And you listen to what they say for a few moments. You tuck what they say into your mind for safekeeping, for later. And before this one leaves you, you make a commitment to them. Maybe it's an apology for not involving them sooner and more. Maybe it's a promise to listen to them more, to let them take the lead sometimes. But you make that promise now. And you say goodbye. You close your eyes, letting yourself bask for a moment in what just happened with your entrepreneur. Memorizing, committing, renewing. When you open your eyes, there's another one who has sat down in front of you, and this one is your manager. This is the one who takes care of all the things, who does your scheduling, pays the bills, watches the money, knows the rules. This is the one you rely on to keep things running. This one does the work of the last one, carries it all out, makes the dream happen. And as you greet this one, you ask, "What do you want to tell me?" And you listen. And you thank them and reply to what they say, maybe with a commitment or a promise. And you close your eyes and contemplate what this one has shared and how you felt about this one and how you feel now. And as you open your eyes, you see in the chair before you that the technician has arrived. This is the one who knows how to do the therapy, who's studied in school, who's gotten the degree, taken the courses. This is the one who practices the art of therapy over and over, who loves to work with their clients, who loves the process of change and healing, who loves their clients. You take her in. You know this one quite well, don't you? You have a very specific question for this one. You ask, "Is it enough? And when will it be enough?" When you listen to the answer and you thank this one and say goodbye. And now you sit for a while, feeling so comfortable, inspired, awake to some things you hadn't realized about how you've been in relationship with these three parts. Maybe you haven't been with all three. You think about whether they're in relationship with each other. Do they get along? Does anybody not like some of the other parts? Do you? And you wonder things like, how can I get into better relationship with all these parts? And what washes over you is this sweet feeling of gratitude, appreciation for all you already have, for all the resources, the support, all the time, for your space, for the strides you've already taken. You bask in all you already do, all your bravery, all your ideas, steeping yourself in this present moment, in all that is and all that will be. Knowing now that you have a whole system of support inside you, and you invite all three parts to this party that is your practice. And you know now from this moment on, in every way and in all ways, that you will invite these three parts to every moment you think about your practice finding it easier and easier, more and more inspiring. And whenever you may feel doubt or uncertainty about the path ahead, you check in, you chat, and you hear from the parts you need to. They're always there. They're always waiting for you. And from now on, you find you're always considering which voice is going unheard, which voice is dominating. And you sit for a while, basking in the knowledge that you're no longer running this business alone, but you're running and expanding this practice of yours with these ones who want the very best for you. I am going to bring you fully back now, re-alerting you back to this time and space as I count from 1 to 5. And at 1, you're memorizing and integrating all you've learned from your parts. 2, appreciating and basking in the glow of inspiration, newness, excitement. And 3, starting to feel your head come back to your body. 2, wiggling your toes and your fingers and stretching. And 1, opening your eyes fully back, refreshed, renewed, maybe even excited. I hope you enjoyed that introduction to your 3 parts. I know I'm excited. I want to read you a quote by Michael Gerber. He said a couple things, and I'm going to read them to you. He said, "And now we begin our journey together in earnest to find the entrepreneur, who she is, what she thinks, what she does, how she does it, how she moves mountains to make her dreams come true. Mountains on the inside of her and mountains on the outside. Mountains of her imagination and mountains with a stark, overwhelming reality to them. What do mountains ask of the one who is determined to climb them?" He also said, "I think that maybe inside any business, there is someone slowly going crazy." All right. If you have anything you'd like to comment or ask, please type it into the chat. I'm going to take a moment here to suggest a couple things. Number 1, maybe find some symbols or draw some shapes or assign some colors to your manager, your entrepreneur, and your technician. Maybe draw them into a pie chart with how it is right now. Who's got the floor most of the time? Color that. And then I want you to draw it again in balance. Choose the colors. Find a way to symbolize and ritualize their involvement in your life. Play around with journaling, asking them questions maybe as you write, asking what they're thinking. You know, I think that the next one, the one that I most hated was the manager. I I just I just have never had a lot of time for it, and I find it boring. It's probably the most adult part, because it's responsible and grounded and follows the rules, or at least knows what the rules are. But, you know, Nothing is going to happen without a solid manager. Nothing is going to happen if you don't know your dream, and nothing will happen if you don't have a skill to bring to the table. So, even if you don't like certain parts, it'll it'll serve you well to get into good relationship with all three. All right, I am going to mention something now, and that is to go to therapistsanctuary.com and check out my clinical supervision community and see if you might be interested in joining. It's a very warm, vibrant, creative group of therapists. And something just happened. Here I am. Somebody phoned me in the middle. And we gather, we meet live once a month. You get weekly videos sent to you with clinical ideas. You can ask a question anytime about any of your cases and get an answer right away. And we have guest speakers. So check it out. And if you don't mind, like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I hope you have enjoyed this. I have. I feel renewed just sort of imagining these parts of me and taking some time to contemplate. Thank you for being here, and I hope you have a great day. Signing off.